Welcome back to another episode of Unpacking Life with the box and the basket. No basket. So today we're going to be talking about a hot topic of generational curses. Because I grew up messed up. And I feel like I'm trying
So
to
it's
break
going to be
all
you
that.
talking the whole time.
Oh, you're just a perfect little angel? You grew up in a perfect household? I'll bring some stuff up. Don't worry about it. But before we get into that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we appreciate y'all listening, watching, however you're getting our content. So let's jump right into this with the alarm going off in the background.
Ricky.
I'm starving, so I had to make some food, and our slow cooker just beeped. But anyways.
The rice cooker.
So I was watching this video on, I can't even remember if it was like Shorts or TikTok or something. And this lady came on. She's like, can we talk about, what did she say? Unimportant generational curses. And she talks about how she gives her kid money for like the book fair at school, and he wears Jordans in like second grade or third grade or whatever. He doesn't have to finish all his food. And like growing up, like I never got that stuff. I never got money for the book fair. They're like, hell no, you're gonna go buy a freaking eraser for $1? Nah, like you're crazy. Like use the end of a pencil. And just stuff like that. So it was, and the food thing is hilarious because I remember as a kid, I'd be like, there's starving kids in Africa. I'm like, well, package it up and send it to them. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not hungry. But then I feel like when you force the kid to finish all their food, it builds that habit when they're an adult, and then they become obese and unhealthy. And then
I saw that recently, that probably like within the last year, that says stop forcing your kids to finish their food if you know like they've eaten enough.
Yeah.
Because then, and I have that as an adult.
You have to finish your whole
You're
plate?
like, you have to finish your food. And I do that. And I'm like, what does it matter? I already paid for it. What does it matter if I finish all of it or if some of it does not end up in my stomach?
Yeah.
Like, so hard to...
But then it's a fine line with kids because we've done it with our kids where we'll feed them, we'll like serve them their food, and then they're eating, and they know that I'm not going to force them to eat it, but they're like ready to go play outside. And they're like, yeah, I'm full. But they're actually not. They're just in a hurry to go eat outside.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they don't like the food, so they tell us they're full, and they hope that when they come back in, they will be offered something else.
Yeah. And then so we just leave it there for them. Like, all right, you're going to eat that crap when you come back in then.
But I wouldn't say that that's a generational curse. Generational curse is like nobody finished college, a teenage pregnancy, being poor. Like, that's generational curses. I think the other stuff is just like inconveniences of the era that you grew up in.
Oh, we're going to talk about some of those curses though. So I grew up in a broken home. Teardrops. I really don't care. I mean, it made me into who I am today, so I'm like grateful for it in a way.
Yeah.
But I would never put my kids through it if I didn't have to. Like I would never put my hands on you in front of them.
Oh.
I would do it behind the closed door.
What?
I'm just kidding.
No, you wouldn't. I would
Vanessa
kill
would
you.
choke me out. She does jiu-jitsu and she's a higher belt than me, so she would strangle me.
You're still heavier than me, so all my moves don't work.
But yeah, so like, I don't know if I ever talked about this.
That's domestic violence then.
Yeah. That's what I grew up with, though. I don't know if I ever talked about it on the podcast, but I know I've told you one of my earliest memories was I was probably like 2 years old, and my dad had put his hands on my mom like bad, and she was like curled up in a ball in the kitchen, and she had like blood on her face and crying, And I remember like walking up to her and she was just holding me, but I didn't know what was going on. But I still remember it now as an adult 30 years later. And I can never imagine doing that or leaving you like that to like the kids to find you. Like they would be traumatized. But I feel like I turned out pretty good considering. No?
I think it made you into like an ice box.
An icebox?
Yeah.
But it's so I sent this not funny video, but a video to Brandon the other day. It was like a couple weeks ago. So my buddy, he's still with the police department, and I was in the military, and then I was combat arms in the Army, and then I got out, worked for a prison. So I've been in law enforcement a lot. And it's like this dude, I don't know if he's like a psychologist or what he is, but he talks about like the perfect law enforcement officer or like special forces like type of person. And he's like, we always look for a very specific person,
like background.
Yeah. And he's like, they're very strong-willed, they have some trauma in their life, to a lot of trauma in their life, but they've been able to
break them.
Yeah, like they've been able to compartmentalize it and like get over that. And there's Deion Sanders, I think he talks about that too, how they look for like his quarterback. He wants his quarterback to come from like a loving home and like two parents in the home, like that are educated and have money, because they're smart, they're studious, and he wants his like DBs, like the people on defense, to be dogs, like come from broken homes, come from like the hood, because they have like that drive. Yeah. And I feel like as a cop, like it helped me so much, just because I would see a lot of crazy stuff. And
that wasn't crazy to you.
Yeah, and it was just like, okay, like it happened. Like moving on. I need to go get lunch after this. But then you see like some people come in from the training academy and they see their first dead body, or they experience their first like really bad domestic violence call, and they're like, this is not for me.
Well, then it breaks them as an adult.
Yeah.
They weren't broken as a kid.
Right.
So now they don't have the
like we've been broken
coping mechanism to like compartmentalize them.
Yeah. So I sent it to Brandon because I thought it was funny, because I'm like, him and I are pretty similar. Like we grew up not exactly the same, but with like some of the similar trauma. And he's a really good cop when he wants to be. And I felt like I was a really good cop, but I was also like, it doesn't we don't hang on to it, you know? Like if we see a dead body, I'm like, yeah, it's a dead body. I've seen it hundreds of times. It's fun. But then like if you were to go into a dead body that somebody just got stabbed or shot, I'm sure you would remember that for a very long time.
Yeah. I feel like I've adapted some of your compartmentalizing skills, but I don't know if I'd probably be like, freak out and then.
Yeah. But yeah, it just depends on the person. Like I had a friend who grew up like in a nice home, and then they saw like the first dead kid, and like they were done after that. Like,
well, that gets to you too.
Yeah. Some things are still, and that's just because I have kids.
So we're breaking that cycle of domestic violence.
Yeah, so I mean, our kids, they'll never experience that.
Hopefully not. I mean, not in our house, but like, you don't know who they're going to be with.
They better check themselves.
Do you think that girls that are grow up in domestic violence households are more likely to subject themselves to that again?
Yes. It's always a cycle. Always.
So why is it easier for guys to break the cycle?
It's not.
So a lot of the men that when you would arrest them that beat on their wives, did they have a history of domestic violence? So
like they grew up like me. If I was to fall into the category of the cycle, I would either be in prison or I would beat you every day, and I would be an alcoholic. Because my grandpa was an alcoholic, my dad was an alcoholic. He might still be. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in 10 years, over 10 years. But like that's just the cycle that I was supposed to follow in, and a lot of my family members have. Like A lot of them were addicts or are addicts, whether it's alcohol or drugs. A lot of them went to prison or are in prison. Um, I'm sure they don't have the best relationships. And then,
Yeah, but a lot of them also turned it around.
yeah,
Their life.
eventually.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I never got into that stuff. Like, I feel like in my brain, I've always been able to know what is right and what is wrong and make that right decision. Like when I almost smoked meth. Remember that? Did I tell you about that?
No.
When I was in I've told you this. I was in high
I have
school.
a bad memory.
I was in high school.
Oh yeah, you did tell
And
me
we were-
because somebody said it could crystallize your lungs, and you're like, nah. Okay.
We were in a quinceañera, and then we went to the after party and stuff, and there was a bunch of older kids, and we're all hanging out. And I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything. And then all my friends were like, "Yo, let's go smoke, let's go smoke." And I was like, "All right." So I went out with them, and they had this pipe that they used to smoke meth, and I didn't know what the heck it was. And they were lighting it up, smoking. And then they passed it to me, and I was about to. And then the guy's lighting it under, and he goes, "Just inhale." He goes, "But don't hold it too long. I'll tell you when to exhale." He goes, "If you hold it too long, you can crystallize your lungs." And I was like, this is not for me. I was like, "I'm good, actually, man." I was like, I gave it back to them, and I just went inside. And I was like, thank God that I never made that decision to smoke it, because it probably could have changed my life. I would have been in that cycle. Yeah.
Oh.
So stuff like that, I've always been able to look at it and not fall into peer pressure of, hey, have this drink. Because people would give me crap all the time, like, oh, you don't drink. I drank once or twice in middle school, and then I didn't like it, and I never drank again until I turned 21. And I was actually in Iraq when I turned 21, and the Super Bowl, my birthday is February 7th, and the Super Bowl landed on my birthday. Or actually, I think it was February 6th that year. But because we're in Iraq, it televised on February 7th, the time difference. And they gave everybody 2 tickets for 2 beers to watch the game. And all my buddies gave me their extra ticket, and they freaking got me hammered. But
on beer.
But yeah, and then after that, it was downhill for the last couple of years that I was in the army. I partied hard. And then
probably to cope.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. That was a lot of fun nights though. And but yeah, so then after that I just kind of stopped drinking, and then even now we drink once in a while, maybe once or twice a month, if that. But yeah, so I've always been smart, and that's why I hate when people, especially when I was with the PD, be like, "Oh, it's just my life, it's just the way I am, it's just..."
Well, if you're a victim, then
yeah, and I'm like, it's just about your mentality and your will to do better or stay in the same cycle.
My dad, I think, I know my dad broke a generational curse with our family.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're all same thing, but times 10, dead or in prison, or still there. No college, no nothing. And then we just grew up normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Semi-normal.
Well, everybody has shit, right? So
everybody has a little crazy. Is that what you're saying?
But then my mom's dad, he was a fucking raging. Oops, beep that. He was a raging alcoholic.
Leave it in.
But my mom was, because my mom is the youngest of 7. So when she was born, I think he started to slow down, and I'm beating my grandma and drinking and stuff. But back in the day, it was didn't matter if they beat you or not, you just stayed. And she did until she died. Just so sad. And then my mom didn't get with anyone that my dad didn't beat her.
No.
So she broke a generational curse. No.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Do you know the top generational curses? I looked it up just now.
It's gotta be some type of addiction.
Yeah, addictions. And then mental illnesses. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And then physical illnesses.
I don't know I guess it's a generational curse.
I didn't think about physical illness. like hypertension, heart disease, cancer, high blood pressure.
Yeah.
But
Well,
how
that's why
can you break it?
I have
It's
to get
in your.
colonoscopies every 5 years because my mom had colon cancer.
You
She
just
beat
putting all her
it.
business out on Front Street.
Wow. She's a survivor, cancer survivor. I'm proud of her, and I'm happy that she's gone through a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that's a generational curse that I can't get away from.
But that's, to me, the physical one. That's like a DNA curse.
Yeah.
Like, how can you break it?
Mm-hmm.
You alter your DNA.
I guess. I mean, I don't have colon cancer yet. So I guess it's not a curse yet. I guess it's a curse because I have to get a colonoscopy.
Maybe
every
if
5
you have
years.
like kids with somebody else and have better DNA,
No.
and then now our kids don't have that. Like, we
I
filter it out.
I saw this article, or not this article, this video the other day
Mm-hmm.
of this lady. They were talking about like when I was doing some research on like generational curses, and that video actually came up. So it's funny that you saw that as far as like the medical side. But anyway, so this lady is like, she goes, I have 4 kids and every single kid has Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I was super healthy during my pregnancy, everything. Like, she didn't do anything out of like abnormal. So like, I guess, I don't know if you can give Down syndrome to your kid, but she's like, everything was like normal through her pregnancy and stuff. And then each kid, all 4 kids had Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doctor was like, have you ever been tested for Down syndrome? And she's like, no, like I'm normal, I guess her normal.
Yeah.
And so she went and got tested. She had Down syndrome. I guess like a mild case of it. I don't know what the spectrum is for Down syndrom, but apparently
like
she
1
had it.
on
Yeah.
a scale from 0 to 10.
And apparently she had Down syndrome her whole life, and she had no idea.
That's one way of like mind over matter.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, like how do you not know? What? I guess I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable in Down syndrome at all,
Mm-hmm.
but apparently there's levels to it. So, but yeah, I guess that's
wild.
I know. She's like, I don't know why all my kids have it. I wonder if the husband had it too, because what are the chances?
I don't know.
But yeah,
maybe
so I
something
guess-
to do with if the mom has it, you know, like because the other day I saw something. This guy in Mexico that has Down syndrome, and he fathered like a kid, and he went on to college and was super smart.
Mm-hmm.
And they made like a big deal of it because it's like, I guess, very hard for them to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess just usually people with Down syndrome don't have kids. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
All I know is that they have like an extra chromosome. I don't know if that hinders or I have no clue.
Yeah.
But it's like dwarfism,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Some come out normal.
Yeah, I was gonna say some kids like come out
Normal
sized, and so
Or average size. I don't know. We're
Yeah.
probably gonna get canceled because
cancel
we said
us.
normal.
but
They call it something average height, I think. Whatever. What is it?
I just remembered. Maybe I shouldn't say it.
No, you shouldn't.
I should.
If you're laughing that hard.
That big lady that was getting charged like for 2 seats on the airplane, and then she called them like normal sized people.
Oh,
Do you remember what was the word that she used?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. It was hilarious. But it's like a bigger sized woman on an airplane, and she's like upset that they're charging her for 2 seats because she's taking up 2 seats. And then she refers to, I guess, skinnier, normal sized people as normal weight or something like that. I have no idea. I can't remember. I was just dying laughing because she was so mad about it.
I guess it's one of those you have to be there
Yeah.
to think it's funny.
I did see this article the other day that some airlines are going to start weighing people.
Yeah, I sent it to BTS.
Yeah. They're going to start weighing people that get on the airplane. Well, I think it's a great idea because I don't
think
want to
they
be
should
overweight on the dang plane. Remember like when
And
we were
crash.
flying to Orlando? And they were like, we're overweight, so we need a longer runway. And we were running on the runway for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we had to go into a different airport
Mhm.
than Orlando because of a storm. And they were like, we might run out of gas if we stay in the air too long. So But I always thought, and there's always like these memes. They're like, oh, they're gonna charge me $50 for an extra bag because I'm 2 pounds over. But they show like all these people that are overweight, and they're like, they don't care about that weight. They don't distribute that weight evenly.
Well, if it's a safety thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe they have like leeway or something.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe they build in an extra something.
No idea.
I don't want to start having to watch what I eat before I get on a plane, though.
I know. Well, you can just take a dump and then have it all over the... Remember? Have your dump all over the aisleway and then you have to do an emergency landing
Somebody, I guess,
else.
recently had diarrhea throughout the whole plane, which I don't know what how that happens.
I wonder if they like crapped themselves in the seat and walked through.
I think they like tried to make it to the bathroom
and didn't.
And it went in the aisle. Yeah. And then they said, because the pilot, he's like so calm. He's like, yeah, it's just a biohazard, because they're like asking why they have to turn around. It's like it's a biohazard. Yeah, just somebody. What did he say?
There's diarrhea. Through the aisleway.
They diarrheaed all through the plane. He just says it calm as a cucumber. I would have been dying.
I would have been too.
That's like my worst fear.
Oh, could you imagine flying in that? What?
Well, it's like when
you would definitely throw up.
Yeah, I almost threw up this last time.
I know. Vanessa's like very skittish of.
It's just
movement.
I get like airsick.
Yeah.
Plane sick.
It's a generational curse.
Is it?
I don't know.
No, maybe. Aubrey doesn't. They all ride roller coasters.
Not Dion.
He rides roller coasters.
Yeah, but he won't even look over the dang edge of.
I don't know why he has. I don't think that fear of heights is a generational curse. To me, generational curses are like what you said, or like poverty, never graduating high school, college, that kind of stuff. Teenage pregnancies. My mom had me when I was 20, when she was 21, and then I had Dion when I was 21. So Aubrey would be the one to break the cycle.
She better break the
of not cycle. Having, or any of the boys really too, of not having a kid when they're 21.
Well, the boys will be working or in the military, so
they can't impregnate people if they're working or in the military.
Yeah, but we don't have to raise the damn kid.
Okay, my mom raised me, and I raised Dion.
Your mom didn't help?
Not a lot.
Your mom didn't help?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I didn't rely on her. If I didn't have her, I would have made it work.
Well, yeah, that's just because you're strong-willed and you're a hell of a person. I got you.
Oh, my shoulder hurts. I think when you put the TENS unit on it, you like jacked it too hard and it like
put that back there.
Hurt me. Well, okay, what other generational curses?
We kind of touched on it, but like the poverty, wealth, and I know we talked about it a lot, but just financial literacy and education. Because I grew up poor. My mom grew up poor. My dad grew up poor. They were terrible with money. And I'm terrible with money.
But you're not poor.
Not anymore. But I was.
Thanks to me.
Yeah. That's why I married him. I was like, you can go nowhere, girl. Put a chain on it. But
you think you can reverse it? Like now one of our kids might be broke or poor? Not really, right?
They better not be, because we ain't supporting them.
Do you think once you break one of those cycles that like it stays broken more likely than it is? I feel like it's harder to break a generational curse than to go back to it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's interesting.
You think?
I don't know. Because I don't know, like if a generational curse like poverty or lack of wealth knowledge. It's not. I feel like it's not DNA or like destiny, I guess.
No.
So if you're, because you can train yourself to do anything, right? If you work hard enough, you can get proficient at anything. And I feel like with our kids, we've been at least trying to be proficient enough with them, like teaching them about money and financial education, that they would take that on to their adulthood and be successful. But yeah, I mean, I guess if they just don't want to, or if they feel spoiled, or like it's like they deserve it.
Like your mom is a hard worker, right? My dad is a hard worker, but the environments that they grew up in, only allowed them to go so far.
Right.
Like my dad joined the military, same
Mhm.
thing as you. Like if he didn't, then he would either end up in jail or dead.
Yeah.
So that was his opportunity, and then his environment changed. And I think sometimes that's it for your mom. She only had so many resources, and the environment she was in is holding her back more. I mean, she's doing much better than she
Yeah.
was when you guys were kids, but she did she's a hard worker. It wasn't that she couldn't get out of it because she's not a hard worker.
Right.
I think it's because of the circumstances and the resources she had
Mhm.
could only get her so far.
Yeah. And she had the drive to get out of it, not bad situations.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you can reverse anything, right?
Yeah.
It's just like an addict. Like you get so addicted to a drug or whatever it is, and then you get clean. Like you have all the resources and tools to stay clean, but then it can always be reversed if you just stop trying.
Yeah.
So I think generational curses could be reversed if you just stop trying to work on them.
Yeah, I guess. But then there's a lot of like, when I watch the teen mom shows, where like the grandma had the great grandma had the grandma at 16. The grandma had the mom at 16. The mom, like it's over and over 16, 17. And they interview them and they're like, well, what do you think? Like, did you explain to them? Like, and they tell them, it's like, I want nothing more than, this was like my worst nightmare. I did everything I could. Like I put them on birth control. Like they do the exact opposite of what their parent did to try to break the curse, and they still can't break it. And that always baffles me. I'm like, why? I don't understand.
I don't know. That is wild.
I mean, that doesn't always happen, but
I don't know.
I guess they just pick the ones where it keeps happening and they put them on the show so that we're like enamored by it.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
But tell us about your generational curses in your family, and if you broke the cycle or if you're still working to break the cycle. And we'd love to hear them. So feel free to leave any comments, good or bad. Come at us.
Come at him. Say at Ricky.
But we appreciate y'all listening, watching, however you're getting our content, and we'll see you on the next one.